Hey everybody, it's Gus from Askewed Reviews, and I'm doing a new episode of Creature Madness. So let's just say you don't know what this is. Creature Madness is a creation by my buddy Matthew over at Horror Madness, and what he did is he selected a group of his friends to make a movie club. So we all watch the same creature feature, and then each of us does our own review about that film. Now, aside from myself and Matthew, the other members of this group are Jen, Ashley, Amariah, Bambi, and Ryan. These are all wonderful people, and if you're not already following them, definitely go and do so. They all have wonderful content, and you can look at all of our past Creature Madness videos as well. So this time around, the Creature Madness creature feature movie that we're doing was selected by Ashley, and it is for the 1991 film The Boneyard, directed and written by James Cummins. So, unfortunately, I would be very hard pressed to say that this was a good movie because, well, it's not. But I really do want to thank Ashley for introducing this to the group, as I would be so sad to find out that I had never watched this one before because it's kind of wonderfully terrible. Now, sadly, at least in my opinion, it takes about 40 minutes into the movie until anything really interesting happens. But once it does, it becomes a oddly interesting story, but with some really fun and interesting practical effects. So here's the concept for the movie. We have a pair of police officers that are trying to look into the deaths, unfortunately, of some children, and they decide to turn to an old friend of theirs who is a psychic of sorts and can kind of pick up on things around her, or at least help them discover more clues about what happened. Now, these three individuals head off to the coroner's office slash morgue to see if they can find out more information related to the case. Now, the nickname of this morgue is lovingly called the Boneyard. Now, due to some sort of supernatural force, these children are brought back to unlife as they are now some sort of demonic undead. Also, if you manage somehow to consume a part of these creatures, you'll turn into a monstrosity. So now, can two police, one psychic, five coroners, one receptionist, one girl who is thought to be dead, and a poodle escape from the Boneyard? So, like I said, this movie is pretty ridiculous. I mean, one of the characters is played by Phyllis Diller, and she's named Miss Poopinplots. Oh, also speaking of names, one of the main characters, his first name is Jersey. I don't think I've ever heard that as a first name before, but sure. Also, as a child who grew up watching Nick at Night, I couldn't help but go, wait a minute, is that Mr. Roper from Three's Company? And indeed it was. Norman Fell is in this movie. So for me on my scale, I'm going to give The Boneyard a 2 out of 5. But if you're willing to sit through it, which I would say at least do it once, it is currently streaming for free on Prime, Pluto, Plex, and Roku. So now it's the point in my version of Creature Madness where I go over a little bit more about the creatures themselves. So in this movie, the creatures aren't actually zombies, it's more of demonic inhabited undead. Now, there do seem to be some variations with some of the creatures in this movie, as there are those that seem to have super strength, and there are those that are just really quick and agile. But one of the biggest things is if you destroy the heart, then you will take out the creature, because apparently that's where evil lies. So, as I mentioned earlier, you have these three undead children to which, if you consume a part of them, you become a monstrosity. And here's the two that at least show up in this film. You have the monstrous old lady, and of course, the monstrous poodle monster. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Creature Madness! And definitely keep an eye out for everyone else's video about this film. And of course, check out all of our previous stuff and keep an eye out for the future stuff as well. And you can do so by looking up the hashtag Creature Madness.